Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fluctus Channel. HMS Queen Elizabeth represents the return of full-scale British carrier aviation after years without a large fixed-wing carrier at the center of the Royal Navy. Built as the lead ship of the Queen Elizabeth class, she is about 280 meters long, with a flight deck roughly 70 meters wide, large enough to handle helicopters and F-35B Lightning jets moving at the same time. Instead of catapults and arresting wires, the ship uses a ski jump ramp and short takeoff, vertical landing operations, allowing the F-35B to launch with fuel and weapons before recovering back onto the deck. Her role is not limited to carrying aircraft. HMS Queen Elizabeth acts as the centerpiece of a carrier strike group, surrounded by destroyers, frigates, submarines, supply ships, and allied warships that expand her reach and protection. When F-35Bs operate from her deck, pilots and deck crews coordinate aircraft spotting, engine start, weapon safety, launch timing, recovery paths, and deck movement, with only seconds between decisions. The carrier brings British air power to sea, but it also depends on escorts, tankers, logistics, ships, and friendly ports to remain effective over long distances. That is why docking inside a U.S. naval base becomes more than a routine port visit. A foreign carrier entering an American base shows the depth of modern naval cooperation between two countries that were once enemies at sea. During the War of 1812, USS Constitution famously defeated HMS Guerriere, a British frigate, in a battle that became part of American naval legend. More than 2 centuries later, British and American warships now train, berth, refuel, and operate together as close allies. Arrival at a U.S. base requires careful harbor control. Tugs move into position, line handlers prepare mooring lines, and the carrier advances slowly because a vessel of this size cannot stop quickly. The bridge team watches distance, current, wind, and pier clearance, while deck parties stand ready with helmets, radios, and heavy lines. When the first line goes across, sailors begin turning a moving warship into a secured pierside platform. Refueling at sea follows the same discipline. The carrier and replenishment ship steam side by side, holding course and speed while hoses, span wires, and fuel rigs connect across open water. The gap may look controlled, but both ships are still moving through waves. Fuel transfer keeps the strike group in operation without returning to port, proving that carrier power depends as much on logistics as on aircraft. Docking, fueling, escorting, and flying are all connected. Together, they explain why a British carrier inside an American base is not unusual today. It is a visible sign of shared sea power. It places crews, aircraft, and procedures from both navies in the same operating picture, preparing them for deployments where allied carriers may have to support one another far from home ports, contested coastlines, and friendly shipyards. That cooperation turns access into readiness. It also turns a pier into strategic support, quickly. safely. The next layer of this story appears when Allied carriers begin sharing aircraft experience across similar decks. Italy's ITS Cavour is smaller than HMS Queen Elizabeth, but it belongs to the same short takeoff and vertical landing world. For years, the Italian Navy operated AV-8B Harriers from Cavour, using the aircraft's ability to launch from a short deck and land vertically. The Harrier made compact carrier aviation possible for navies without giant catapult carriers. But the F-35B brought a new generation of stealth, sensors, networking, and strike capability. For Cavour, moving from Harrier operations to fifth-generation fighters required much more than parking a new jet on deck. The ship had to prove that its flight deck, elevators, hangar, maintenance spaces, heat-resistant surfaces, fuel systems, and deck crews could support the F-35B. Certification demanded trials with real aircraft, test pilots, engineers, and safety teams. The jet's lift fan, swiveling exhaust nozzle, and hot vertical landing pattern created different stresses from older aircraft, so every approach, touchdown, deck movement, and tie-down procedure mattered. During sea trials, crews checked how the F-35B behaved around the ship in hover, short takeoff, and vertical recovery. Deck teams observed exhaust effects, communications, aircraft movement, and emergency procedures. Engineers looked at how the ship handled heat, vibration, and operating tempo. Once Cavour achieved certification for fifth-generation fighter operations, Italy gained a carrier able to operate a modern stealth aircraft at sea, while still learning from partners already working with the same jet. Cross-deck operations with the United States, the United Kingdom, and Italy turned that certification into practical interoperability. When aircraft, pilots, and deck crews from different navies operate around each other, they must understand signals, safety zones, refueling routines, maintenance support, and emergency responses. A jet may belong to one country, but the deck it lands on may belong to another. That demands trust, standardization, and repeated practice. HMS Queen Elizabeth provides a natural comparison because her F-35B operations also depend on ski jump launches and vertical recoveries. On launch, the jet accelerates down the deck, climbs the ramp, and uses a mix of wing lift and engine power to become airborne in a short distance. On recovery, the aircraft returns slowly, transitions toward hover, descends under precise control, and settles onto the deck as handlers move in only after the jet is safe. These procedures show why Allied carrier visits and U.S. base access matter. A British carrier, an Italian carrier, American Marines, Navy aircraft, and joint crews can practice around the same fifth-generation aircraft family. The more often these decks interact, the easier it becomes to share tactics, spare parts knowledge, emergency lessons, and operational habits. Carrier aviation is unforgiving, so every cross-deck event adds another layer of confidence before real deployments demand speed. To viewers, a jet takes off or lands. But behind that moment is a chain of inspections, clearances, hand signals, engine settings, and deck coordination. That chain helps Allied navies turn separate ships into one sea-based air network. The United States and France remain unusual because their main carriers use catapult-assisted takeoff and arrested recovery. American nuclear carriers, such as USS Gerald R. Ford and the Nimitz class, stretch more than 1,000 feet and carry fighters, electronic attack aircraft, helicopters, early warning aircraft, and support platforms. Their size allows sustained flight operations, deep magazines, large fuel stores, and thousands of sailors working as one floating airbase. The U.S. system launches aircraft with catapults and recovers them with arresting wires. On takeoff, the aircraft is attached to the catapult shuttle. Engines go to power. Deck crews clear the launch area, and the catapult throws the jet forward in seconds. On landing, the pilot aims for the angled deck and catches a wire with the tailhook, stopping a fast-moving aircraft in a very short distance. This system allows heavier aircraft to launch with more fuel, weapons, and specialized equipment than a short takeoff carrier can usually support. France's Charles de Gaulle is much smaller than an American supercarrier, but it is still exceptional because it also uses catapults and arresting gear. As France's only aircraft carrier, it gives the French Navy a capability that most navies do not have, launching and recovering conventional carrier aircraft in the same general way as the U.S. Navy. That is why French Rafales can operate in patterns familiar to American carrier crews. The comparison matters when looking at HMS Queen Elizabeth. Britain chose a large STOVL carrier built around the F-35B, while the United States and France operate Katabar carriers designed for different aircraft and heavier launch profiles. One approach emphasizes ski jump simplicity and vertical recovery. The other emphasizes catapult power and arrested landing flexibility. Both methods demand enormous skill, but they shape the aircraft, deck rhythm, crew training, and combat options differently. Together, they show how Allied navies solve the same problem in different ways, carrying air power across oceans. In practice, US, British, French, and Italian carriers complement rather than copy each other. Some bring nuclear endurance and catapults. Others bring STOVL flexibility, but all depend on trained crews daily. Multi-carrier exercises bring these differences together at sea. When American, French, Italian, and other Allied naval forces operate together, each carrier becomes part of a larger air and surface picture. During tri-carrier operations, ships maneuver in formation, aircraft cycle through launch and recovery, and command teams manage communications so crowded airspace remains safe. These exercises also allow sailors to compare how different navies solve practical problems. From old rivalry between USS Constitution and HMS Guerriere, to modern British F-35Bs, Italian F-35B certification, American and French Katabar operations, and Allied multi-carrier exercises, the story shows how former rivals became partners at sea. Today, docking a British carrier in an American base strengthens the network, keeping Allied air power moving across the oceans. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our new content. See you next time.